the battle lines for Russia have apparently frozen. It doesn't seem as if they're making the kind of progress either in the offensive to capture Kiev, which is vital for the any regime change mission, or in terms of subduing key targets in eastern Ukraine like Odessa or Mariupol, or in western Ukraine where they've expanded the war to Lviv. So on all three of those fronts, the battle lines are stagnant. And as the ground offensive stagnates, we're seeing Russia rely increasingly on the use of precision and less precise weaponry and more remote attacks and hypersonic weapons to kind of destroy vital military infrastructure. And that opens the door for other non ground forms of attack, like chemical and biological weapons.
Yeah, we've just heard that there is a fear that the Russians, out of frustration, right, might use chemical or even tactical nuclear weapons. How realistic is that, in your opinion?
So I think a chemical attack of these is probably the most plausible because it's also the most deniable and also fits in with Russia's modus operandi in the past, whether it be the Soviet Union's use of chemical and nerve agents during the war in Afghanistan during the 1980s in the attempt to break stalemates and subdue cities, or Russia abetting the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons inside Syria. Russia claims that its chemical weapon stocks have been destroyed as of 2017, but it could simply do something like bomb a petrochemical factory, like it's shelling in Sumy over the weekend, and that would make it look like, oh, it's Ukraine having a chemical leak, but it's actually Russia carrying out an attack. That's why I think that's much more likely than a biological or tactical nuclear weapon, where the responsibility would be 100% on Russia, and Russia would have to own it.
So the Russian military has reportedly lost already 6 generals, which is highly surprising, unusual in military history. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it's reflective of a broader strategy that was announced 1 week into the war, which was Russia moving more senior and experienced military figures, especially those who have battlefield experience in Syria, which is often seen as a prototype for a somewhat successful military operation on the Russian side, closer to the front lines. And this is the consequence of that strategic maneuver. And I think these casualties underscore the fact that the ground offensive is going poorly and that the Ukrainian resistance is much stronger than they had anticipated.